Thank you. I was sitting at my breakfast table, and I happened to read an article in the Loudoun Times-Mirror newspaper, which was popular then. The title of the article said, "Do your children look like hobbits?" I lowered the paper, and I gazed at them across the table, ages 6 and 9, cute little round faces and bright eyes. I thought, yes, they do. I asked them if they would like to try out for a show that would be singing and acting on stage. They both said yes. They tried out the following Saturday, and we joined the Blue Ridge Alliance for the Performing Arts. Soon a big musical came up, and they both tried out to be in Oliver by Charles Dickens. This show ended up with 90 children in the cast. You see, the director of the show knew a lot about filling a theater, and she knew that 90 children and 50 adults would bring neighbors and grandparents and friends and aunts and uncles and teachers who pay good money for tickets. At the time, the music director for Galilee UMC was Ron Dyer. He was also the very talented music director for Oliver. We became friends during rehearsals, and I shared that I had been looking for a good Methodist church to join. Ron asked me if I would come and worship at Galilee. No one had ever quite asked it that way. I came the next Sunday, and everyone was friendly. I joined the choir, I participated in church activities. My parents even joined the church, and the kids loved attending. Both of my parents passed away several years later, within 18 months of each other, and I clung to my church family for support. I then went through a harrowing divorce, and they stayed with me. About that time, a nice man joined Galilee and joined the choir. His name was Tim, and we became friends. Long story short, after 2 years, we decided to think about marriage. We took part in marriage counseling from Pastor Wayne and joined a marriage couples group and began to plan a wedding. We asked if we could help out with the youth program. We liked being with teenagers. After we finished marriage counseling and planned a date, we invited the whole church to our wedding, and they all came. The first couple weeks leading youth group were a little rough. After the second week, one young man asked if he could take the leftover snacks and drinks home. And then he looked at me and he said, "You will come back next week, right? It'll get better." We did, and we began the most wonderful times of our lives. We were volunteer youth leaders for nearly 11 years. We went on mission trips, took the group out to dinner. They brought their own money. Each week after our youth praise and worship service on Tuesday nights, which was called Ignite. At Ignite, one youth would preach and the others would play and sing in the praise band. We had constant help and support from parents every week. We rode a rented school bus and attended the National Acquire the Fire event on a road trip to Pontiac, Michigan, which was held in the Silverdome. 87,000 teenagers and their leaders and many, many parents. We traveled to Sneedville, Tennessee. We worked with Habitat for Humanity doing construction. When you see Rebecca Makowski, you might ask her about that. Mary Lacey and Roshni and Joe Butler were also part of our youth group. We had youth over at our house many times a week, roughhousing with Tim, playing football in the front yard. We attended the 30-hour famine in support of World Vision. We went to Ocean City, Maryland. We went on trips. We blew a fuse because 13 crock pots and several hair dryers shouldn't be plugged in at the same time. As Tim finished up his college degree and was looking toward graduate school, he applied for a paid position as Director of Youth Ministry at Pender UMC in Fairfax. The hardest decision ever was to leave Galilee, but it allowed him to quit his job with the county and do youth ministry full-time. We went and we enjoyed 12 years with Pender UMC youth. In 2009, Tim was diagnosed with cancer. He fought that disease with everything he had, with the support and help of the Sidney Kimball Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins University Hospital, but he finally succumbed to the disease in 2017. His celebration of life was a rocking praise and worship service celebration. attended by Pender people and Galilee brothers and sisters, adults who knew us from years ago, many of our youth who had grown up, gotten married, even had children. They all came, and several spoke during the service. It was like we were never apart. They were there when I needed them so badly. After COVID, when the first in-person service was held at Galilee, I needed to come back and see if it felt the same. People came up to me and said, "Oh, you're back, welcome." Well, I wanted to say, do you know it's been nearly 15 years? They didn't care. One of our former youth was having her newest child baptized that day. I was home. This is why I love my church. They share the love of Christ.